right, welcome to week 6. Here is my um, reflections for week 6. Okay, words their way, chapter 6. I thought the part about how much easier it is to read a word than it is to spell it is interesting because, as the text states, every letter must be represented accurately on page 202. Without knowing the rules of spelling, it's easy to see why words where letters are doubled or words where some letters are silent can easily trip up a speller but not a reader. Do elementary schools still use printed versions of dictionaries and such? I know they are in some high school classrooms, but I've yet to see a teacher or student use one, obviously, with the internet. I think the best piece of advice in this chapter is to help students find patterns in words they already know to help with words they don't know instead of only teaching rules on page 211. How does remembering that the word friend ends in END help students to remember it is spelled with a silent I on page 219? I think they just chose a very bad example. One of the activities I thought was interesting was the Hink Pinks, where students have to answer riddles with words that rhyme, page 239. I think that would be so much fun. The article Readers Theater plus Comprehension and Word Study. I'm grateful that I was a good reader. I would hate this idea of having to constantly read the same book or same text over and over again until I was fluent with reading it. I love reading, but that sounds like a nightmare. Is this only for texts meant to be performed or that are very short, like poems? I'm assuming they don't use this with long texts. I like that this has the students explain, summarize, and retell the story. The trouble with that is that every student already knows the story. So, what's the point in retelling the same story to someone who already knows it and has to do the same thing? You can see the kids getting very bored in a high school classroom. Covering roots, suffixes, and prefixes we've already learned is beneficial. The next article, what happens when a teacher uses meta language to teach spelling? Don't childhood majors get a general and basic overview of everything and not in depth preparation to teach all of the subjects from an expert level? Even in my undergrad teacher prep, we didn't really get much on phonemes, etc. So it makes sense that they don't feel confident. These teachers don't feel confident. Do other colleges underprepare their teachers like mine did? Even in my master's TESOL program, we didn't dive deep into the things this article alludes to, such as, for example, the use of the letter string OU as in pouch as opposed to OW as in town is dependent on where the diphthong is positioned within a word and which phonemes may or may not follow. Specifically, the OW orthographic pattern is typically needed if the diphthong is in the final position of a word, as in how, or if it is followed by L as in howl or N as in gown. However, the OU letter string is generally required for all other instances of this diphthong, as in pouch, bound, and out on page 424. We didn't dwell too much on this because it's not something we actively taught our students. We covered it so that we'd understand it, but we didn't spend the time explicitly teaching it. I guarantee that if you ask students what a diphthong is, they will tell you they have no idea. I thought it was interesting that they pointed out that students who are aware of morphological uses of words still make mistakes when composing long texts. In my opinion, I think writers get stuck because much of their brain power is taken up in the conscious process of writing down their thoughts. They are paying less attention to spelling and grammar and can easily miss something they would normally have known the proper spelling and usage of. It makes sense to me now why students who are normally good spellers can make those mistakes in a longer composition. My mistake is just in typing. Can't type the letters in the order I want to, so they come out backwards. It's frustrating. My brain knows the letters, but my fingers get stuck on the exact order. Handwriting those words means I make no mistakes. Read that again. Handwriting those words means I make no mistakes, so it's not a processing error. Are we holding our students to this level, or are they just significantly better at it because they've always grown up with texting and typing on computers? I got a kick out of the interview they did where the kid said higgledy piggledy. How old is this article? I don't know anybody that says higgledy piggledy anymore. Anyway, I thought it was cute, but weird. Sounding it out is an outdated approach, but I don't think it should be abandoned. I used it with my E&L students often. I've been a fan of these word sorts where students put words that have similar sounds together. I've never seen it used outside the E&L classroom. or a resource room. I wonder how successful it would be with high schoolers.